This is Fox 5 News Morning.
Pampered pooches. We're going to go straight to the animal experts for a warning you need to hear before dropping your dog off at the groomer. You know, it might seem like a routine chore, dropping your pet off at the groomer for a wash and a haircut. But recently, if you paid attention to the headlines, 2 dogs died. One was severely injured in just a 10-day span after being taken to the same grooming facility at a PetSmart in New Jersey, a place you would think would be safe. It's not the first time it's happened. Dogs have fallen off the grooming table, been left too long under a hair dryer, a hot dryer, I should say, suffered severe injuries, and in some cases, even death. What can go wrong? What should you do, more importantly, before you take your beloved pet to the groomer? Because we all know our pets are part of our families. Well, joining us now, Dr. Eric Cryan, Chief Veterinarian and owner of NoVa Mobile Vet, and his family member. This is Bliss. Bliss is my new best friend. She's just chilling right now on the ground, and man, she looks so comfortable. And I'll tell you what, Doc, it's like they really are members of our family. We want to treat them just as if we would treat our kids, but in some cases, we've put the blind trust in others. Usually it works out, but sometimes it doesn't. So what do we need to know before we go to someplace new, or even if it's a place we've gone before?
Excellent question. On the analogy of kids, I tried to look at the dog grooming and boarding facilities like you would, a kid daycare, and so generally you want a place that's open and honest, that will let you into the place and look it out, give you a tour of the facility so you can see what's going on. You want to see the staff that's going to handle your dog, what the policy is on the procedure. Generally I'm going to recommend, places that don't use the heat dryer. They just circulate the air so there's no risk of, the overheating. God forbid, if a medical emergency does happen, do they have staff or a doctor, trained there to treat them? Most of the boarding facilities nowadays are associated with a veterinary hospital. So those are a lot of things to consider. Basically, as you say, they are family members. Right. You want to use those precautions.
Let's go back to one of the first things you said, which is taking a look around. And now, look, I know I've been to some places with dogs before where, like some of the big chains, it's very open. You can see what's happening there. I've been to others that have a very nice, fancy, cozy lobby area, and then they take the dogs in the back, and you don't know what's happening. If I go to that place, do they have to let me in to take an inspection? What do I tell them if I'm bringing the dog and I say, look, I just want to check out your place, make sure you're doing things right?
I think, you have to go about your business and respect that, but I think at any place, if you say, listen, I'd like to take a look at the facilities to see what's going on and your procedures, most places are going to be open and honest and let you check out their facilities and if they're on the up and up. And so you want to make sure their staff is adequately trained. They know what to do, God forbid, in case of emergency, right, what the procedure's on and how to proceed.
So those are all good questions to ask, not just to take a look around, but make sure that they do have, as you said, some type of medical person or a connection to a medical person if something happens.
Correct. Certain dogs, are going to do better under certain facilities, but, you always want to prepare for an emergency if it happens. And so the procedures need to be in place beforehand because you don't want to be scrambling when an emergency occurs.
Let me ask you this, as a vet, if I take my dog to a place and then the dog comes back and I think maybe something is not right, what types of things should I be looking for that might be a red flag that something didn't go as planned?
Certainly, with older dogs like my sweet old girl Bliss here, they can sometimes get, sore and develop a mild lameness if they slip while getting a bath and through no one's fault. But, God forbid, if something happens like that, the first thing I would do is call the facility. And if you've developed an open trust and, they're able to show you around and you know who's working on them and you say, listen, this is the same person I've gone through in the past, I trust this dog groomer, generally they're going to be in the up and up and they're going to tell you what's going on. But certainly if your dog is having trouble breathing, any swelling, any bleeding, any growth, anything out in the normal, you want to get into a veterinarian office and again take a look at it right away.
A lot of times, obviously, we go on recommendations. Do people come to you as a vet and say, hey, where should I go? Do you get that question a lot?
Yeah, I get it all the time.
I know it's not your job to steer people in a direction, but...
Yeah, generally, I say, I don't give the haircuts. I have them look like me before surgery. It's about the only good haircut I give. I respect the groomers, but I don't do that. There's some, mobile groomers in the area for some dogs that get stressed, so they can get done in the home. I've had people, ask me if I do that, but, driving the big mobile hospital around.
But if somebody comes to you and they say, look, I'm new to the area or I wasn't happy where I was, do you have any suggestions? Do you at least suggest tips for them or things to look for if you're not suggesting a place directly?
Yeah, not directly endorse, I'm going to ask, clients for feedback, both with the places they go for boarding, grooming, facilities, hotels, things like that. So I try to get feedback from the clients and share it in the various areas we go. And so if there's a certain place, that fits the dog, be it an open place where they can play with other dogs and not be confined, or, a mobile groomer that comes and deals with them directly, I try to do it on an individual basis. There's some dogs I see that would do better in a lone facility. There's other dogs that, you know, they're going to get stressed, confined, have
Sure.
separation anxiety, but you put them with all the rest of the dogs, they're playing and having a great time. Yeah.
All right. Eric, thanks for joining us this morning. We do appreciate it. We're going to take a break for a couple of reasons. One, because we have to, and two, because I want to play with Bliss. It's 8:55. Back with the final check on the forecast after this.
Travis.
She's so good.